a nuclear reactor can undergo a major loss of coolant accident. A loss of coolant accident potentially can lead to a partial or complete fuel meltdown. This is what happened in Chernobyl, but the difference is, of course, the Chernobyl reactor was running at full power. These reactors were shut down, but their cores and control rods are still very hot because the cooling stopped. The auxiliary power diesel generator systems came on for an hour and then collapsed. Now, the heat is still not removed from the cores. There is radiation leak, that's for sure. It was detected 100 kilometers away from the Daiichi plant. There has been leaks of cesium-137 outside the reactors at the boundary wall, which means that fission products of the fissioning, the splitting up of uranium atoms have been released. And this is happening not in one reactor, but 3 reactors simultaneously.
So your argument...
Their fuel has been exposed.
Okay, Mr. Balakrishnan, you put both hands up. Okay, before I go to Mr. Gaur, Mr. Balakrishnan has put both hands up there. Yes, I can see. Dr. Balakrishnan, the issue tonight...
Bidwai, please.
Yes.
Let me understand. Hello. Mr. Praful Bidwai, when he talked through his hat, that there was a radiation. If I venture to bet with Mr. Praful Bidwai, if I ask him how many radiation monitors are outside Daiichi, what was the reading every 30 minutes for the last 3 days, he wouldn't have a clue about that. And yet he is here talking about radiation 100 kilometers, 100 miles.
Published.
Look, how they please understand, how they discuss with somebody who doesn't know anything.
Company. I'm sorry, you don't know anything
go
yourself.
To the go and see
the radiation level of 1,000 times higher than normal inside the reactor and at least 8 times higher at the gate. 8 times higher than normal. It's a huge dose. Please do not argue when you don't know. The Japanese government admits that the radiation dose
I don't want to talk with an illiterate, nuclear illiterate. Please, sorry. Look, if I want to discuss, I'll discuss it. Now, talking about 1,000, I'm not impressed by his numbers of 1,000. The reading was 1 million times before the limit that was allowed. It went 1,000 times more. It is still 1,000 times less. Now, what is he talking about 1,000 times?
No, not at all.
Ask him how many microseconds was it.
According to the government's own admission,
I'm asking a plain and simple question.
Than the permissible level.
Look, I'm asking a plain and simple question of Mr. Praful Bidwai. Either he knows the answer or he keeps quiet.
Oh, this is ridiculous. This is abusive.
Either he answers my question or he keeps quiet. I'm not going to talk to somebody who just screws off like...
I am saying that...
What was the radiation...
Gentlemen, I want to come in. Gentlemen, 1 minute. Gentlemen, 1 minute. Let me just come in. I want to go to Mr. Gaur. I'm coming in. You see, I want to simply lay on the table here tonight only one issue. Should a case like Jaitapur, which is still happening, should the case like that be reviewed more transparently? It's the only question tonight. I think nobody's against that. But yes, I want to go to Mr. Gaur. Dr. Gaur first. 1 second. Dr. Gaur, you've been listening to this debate, sir.
Yes.
Do you feel there are some concerns, there is need for a public debate?
Before I open my mouth, I need an assurance that there will be no intemperate interventions.
Okay. Please go ahead, sir.
Well, enough has been said about what happened in Japan. Let's come straight to Jaitapur. Given that we do not curb our hunger for energy-intensive products and services, it seems to me that in the near future, the nuclear route is probably an ineluctable course to pursue. Therefore, the next question arises as to how do we go about it. A nuclear system has to be near the shore if we want to use the seawater as a coolant, and Jaitapur site, from that point of view, has some positive points to recommend itself. Firstly, it is near the shore, of course, and it is on a promontory of land which is about 10 meters higher than the sea level, which makes it fairly certain that it will not be adversely affected by a future tsunami. It happens to be in a moderately seismic zone, although if I were to design the reactor or advise design, I would say that one must at least design it for a magnitude 7.5 earthquake, if not 7. The other possible source of hazard to Jaitapur could arise from tsunami, either from the Makaran coast, and there was in the 1940s an earthquake there which set into motion a tsunami that was seen as far south as Karwar, although heavily attenuated. There could also be mudslides on these prodigious Indus fans which could set off tsunamis. But Jaitapur site being 10 meters above sea level should be expected to be fairly insured against that. What I would like to say is that today we have the technology to design structures and implement them which would withstand the fury of an earthquake of magnitude 7.5. We could also take into account as to what possible hazards of tsunami could this Jaitapur plant face. And we have the knowledge and technology to do that, but these are only the necessary conditions. There's a problem of sufficiency, and the problem of sufficiency I would briefly like to highlight through the cultural deficits that we have. Firstly, there is an authoritarian attitude amongst those who hold government offices, and we have heard a little of that sample a few minutes ago. And that is at the root of all these secrecy laws and classified information that the government has. Any information which is immune to scientific scrutiny, it leads to an undemanding culture for rigor and honesty. And that is something which is the most fatal problem. That is the most fatal deficit that we have. The second is that outside the tribe of craftsmen, there's virtually no sense of design. Tell me one technological object in this country which has a striking design that India can call its own. Not even social systems like Nariga and the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, which had to await the Millennium Development Goals. And the third, that India somehow misses the services of its ablest and the impeccable.
No, I think, Dr.
And we have had that. And unless these conditions are fulfilled, knowledge alone will not help.
I think
technology alone will not help.
Dr. God, everyone agrees with you. My point here is, you talk about transparency. Now, some of these activists argue that information obtained from the Geological Survey of India under the Right to Information Act have revealed that the approved site and the surrounding area experienced 91 tremors between 1985 and 2005, ranging from 2.9 to 6.3 on the Richter scale. Does that not concern you, Mr. Patwardhan?
Absolutely.
Is that true?
No, it is not true.
It's not true?
No, not true. Because
how do you know it's not true?
I will tell you. What you are referring is the site of incidents of tremors and all that is based in Koina, which is 85 kilometers away from Jaitapur.
Site in the surrounding area is
85 kilometers. The norm has a rule which says 5 kilometers area surrounding the nuclear power plant should not have an active zone. 25 kilometers away from Jaitapur site does not have any record of seismic activity which will prohibit the site selection or which will prove the site selection is wrong. What you are referring
I'm saying a lot of this.
Koina.
No, I'm saying a lot
Koina,
of this.
which is 85 kilometers away.
I'm saying a lot of this, let me say, Dr. Balakrishna Chandran, I'm coming to you, but I'm saying a lot of this with full understanding that even when the Ministry of Environment cleared this project, I think they shared very clearly, their apprehensions. They took a lot of time. They put their concerns pretty much on paper.
Agreed.
It's not only a political issue. Sunita Ranayan, is it only a political issue or is it more?
No, I think if you're talking about Jaitapur, I think there are two issues here. One is the fact that we are dealing with a situation where even in Japan, with everything done, with a country which actually had designed very clearly, knowing the risks of both an earthquake and tsunami, it has still had a near disaster, if not a disaster. It clearly means that this is a very high-risk technology that has to be handled with a tremendous care. And if if it's created so much concern in Japan, clearly it means that we have to do a lot more to rethink what we are doing.
Yeah,
and we have to do that in light of the fact, let me just finish this, Arnab. We have to do this in light of the fact when we're looking at Jaitapur, we have a new technology coming in, something that has never been really used anywhere in the world. Only the Finns have used it.
No, that's wrong.
Do we have the necessary experience to be able to, even the Finns have not used it, they're just building a plant right now using this technology. So,
No, Sunita,
so
you know,
I think the big issue is,
no, big
Sorry,
issue here is the way I'm looking at it is, what are we discussing? Are we discussing Jaitapur post-Japan, or is this becoming more an ideological discussion around the kind of position the Coalition for Nuclear Disarmament and Peace, of which Praful Bidwai is a part? He wants a moratorium on all further civilian nuclear.
I'm not a part.
No, you're not. But
I'm not a part of that.
No, you're not.
I'll be very clear. No. And let me finish this point. I think Jaitapur is facing a classic problem where the nuclear establishment can't convince local people, and there is a survival and livelihood issue there of land, of water, which the nuclear establishment can't understand. So I think we have to understand this.
No, one sec. I want Dr. Balachandran wanted to come in. Yes, Dr. Balachandran. Yeah.
Now, what Mr. Kaur from Bangalore said is correct. We should over-design. The Japanese reactors withstood an earthquake of Richter scale 9. There's no difficulty in designing 8 even for India. And notwithstanding what people might say, there were hundreds of 2.7. A difference between 3 and 8 is a magnitude of, since there is logarithmic scale, it will run into hundreds. It will be 100 times less than an 8. Therefore, if you design for even 7 or 8, whatever records you got from the geological survey will say it will withstand all of them. That's the first thing. The second thing is this. I want to be clear whether the opposition to Jaitapur is because it's an unproven technology, in which case those who oppose it say if you have a pressurized heavy water reactor, I am okay, but I do not want an untested reactor. Is it based on the type of the reactor, on a reactor itself? And thirdly, please understand.
Everything.
3 Mile Island was a meltdown. There was no radiation leakage. A meltdown ipso facto does not mean radiation leak. 3 Mile Island was a meltdown.
Praful Bidwai, I see the charge being put here. I'm seeing the charge being put here. The charge being put here is you are using selective examples in a wrong case. Quickly, sir, I'm running short of time.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yes.
Yeah, let me just say quickly, Jaitapur, my objection to Jaitapur is first that it is being built in an extraordinarily precious and delicate ecosystem, one of the most biodiverse regions in the world. In fact, one of the 10 great biodiversity hotspots, right? It is a unique ecosystem with the highest number of endemic plant species found anywhere in India. To locate a nuclear power reactor is ridiculous.
Okay.
Second, the reactor is not only untested, it has run into deep problems in Finland. It is 42 months behind schedule, 90% over budget, and mired in litigation. It may well be scrapped. Why should we go in for a
Okay, now last word to Dr. Gaur. Last word to Dr. Gaur.
Finally, I think there is a serious problem that Sunita referred to, which is this is an extremely inherently hazardous technology unless we have ways of understanding these as an earthquake, not the main hazard in the Jaitapur case. We must not pursue the nuclear route at all.
Okay, now this has revived the debate. There be no doubt about it. I'm asking Dr. Gaur, last word to you, Dr. Gaur. In your view, is there a possibility of a review?
I want to make a few points.
Yes, sir.
I want to make a few points. Firstly, nothing that has been said discounts the fact or discounts the possibility of a magnitude 7 or even higher earthquake taking place very near Jaitapur.
Yes.
Number 2, but we have the technology and knowledge to be able to design the structures that would withstand that kind of a fury of an earthquake, provided it is done meticulously. Number 3, that every level of technology which is one notch higher makes a demand for an even higher technological safeguard. And that is something which has to be kept in mind. That unless we can design safeguards also which are of the same order or higher than the kind of technology for which we are designing these structures, we can never guarantee safety.
That's an important point.
And therefore, an open, transparent design availability is must.
Absolutely.
for
I
this
think that comes from
project.
Vinod Kumar Gaur, one of the most
Absolutely.
respected voices here, and Dr. Balachandran, Praful Bidwai. At least we are having a debate here tonight. I appreciate it. I think we need to have a debate next time with the Chief Minister, with the Minister, so that this issue can be put before the public of this country. To all my guests, thank you very much. And I'll see you tomorrow, same time, with the news and the top debate. Good night and goodbye.